Welcome, Madridistas! How's everyone? What Mourinho just said made me like him even more, and you have no idea. It's not about football. Mourinho won me over and surprised me because I didn't know he liked it. And he answered it in a quick round of questions they asked him here on Real Madrid's accounts. Everything about why the presentation was the way it was, why the private presentations are happening the way they are, has already been discussed in the previous video. Also about El Chiringo, the fact that in a few hours he's going to appear on Pedrerol's trash show to say what he should have said on Real Madrid TV. He gave an interview on Real Madrid TV, which should have been enough, right? And yet, you take him there where they've mistreated Vinicius and so many other Real Madrid players, with the complacency and permission of someone who has never said anything bad against the president. And it seems like that's okay. That's okay. They attack your club, they attack Madrid, they go after Madrid, they allow terrible things to be done against your big star and against the club. That should be seen as really bad. But as long as they leave the president alone, it's fine. So you can later grant him the exclusive interview. But anyway, I insist. You see, I just wind myself up and we keep going down that path. All of that was discussed in the previous video, and that's it. This one is for something else, for what we actually already heard Mourinho talk about. Then if he says something on El Chiringo, we'll talk about it in tomorrow's video. And one thing about Rodri, and yes, I have the beach towels hanging out here behind me. There couldn't be a more Spanish beach scene than that because we're enjoying our vacation. Just a few kind of semi-vacations. You know how this works. Here, there's a half day that we dedicate to the videos. Well, now I'll show you what Mourinho said. That's why he won me over. He really won me over. But first, Real Madrid television. Real Madrid social media accounts have shared this message in which Mourinho explains why, or rather, what Real Madrid means to him. And I think it's a message that has really struck a chord. Mourinho doesn't need to say much to win over the people he's already won over, which is a lot. Because if you look at the reactions to Mourinho's words, well, people are absolutely devoted, right? Completely devoted. No, Mourinho is coming to Real Madrid in a very different situation than when he arrived in 2010. In 2010, he was the coach wanted by many clubs. He arrived as a big star back then, and he still is today, because he's always been one throughout his coaching career in which he started to succeed and stand out very early on. He managed to make Porto European champions when no one expected it. But in 2010, he was in his prime. He arrives at Real Madrid. Does he bring Real Madrid back? That winning character that had been lost in the last years of that first decade of the 2000s. And we always said it, what he still lacked here was winning that Champions League, the 10th. I always said back then, the thing is I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I would say it among colleagues. The colleagues I work with at the Spanish television, and then Mourinho's last year caught me in the United States, and before that also at Marca TV when I worked there at La Sexta, that the 10th had Mourinho written all over it. And in the end, look, we were very close. We were very close, especially in 2012 and 2013. In 2011, they robbed us in the knockout stage. What a coincidence, the ones who pay off refs, right? But yes, and fate wanted it not to happen. Well, it ended up being Ancelotti, but it gave Mourinho a good new opportunity. In this case, he returns differently, feeling grateful because Madrid is trusting him again. A second stint like Ancelotti had at the time, and let's sign wherever we have to so that Mourinho's second stint is as successful as Ancelotti's second stint. Hopefully, well, very accurate words. Mourinho is a master. When it comes to choosing them, of course, and they come from the heart. Mainly, when Mourinho joined Real Madrid in 2010, he wasn't a Madridista, nor did he need to be. He was simply a professional we were hiring. But after that time at Madrid, well, now he speaks more like a Madridista. It's true that he's not at his peak as a coach, not by a long shot. But from the way I see the team playing now and how I see the situation is taking hold, the coach's character and his influence over the squad are qualities Zidane had and Ancelotti had for a time. which other coaches who didn't really succeed at Real Madrid lacked. The last two are a clear example, and it's something Mourinho does have, because he's a guy who's already very experienced, who's dealt with locker rooms even more conflicted than this one, right? Well, in that interview they did with Mourinho, in a very strange presentation, a very strange one that Real Madrid chose to do today, he said this.
Real Madrid, for me, from a professional point of view, is the pinnacle of a coaching career, and surely for any player as well. This is the professional side. Then there's obviously the emotional side, the personal attachment, and in coming back home. Emotionally, it's more special than the first time I came here, because the first time it was the feeling of arriving at the top of a coach's career. And now it's more about the emotional, affectionate side. It's even more beautiful now. I am one of you. I have always been, ever since I left.
How does he manage to strike the right note? I am one of you. Due to the one from Inovi, the slogan will now be one of you. Let's continue.
And now that I have this responsibility again, you can imagine what it means to me to work for Real Madrid. And this is a principle that I want everyone inside Valdebebas to follow, to feel. To work for Real Madrid, what does it mean? To work for you, all of you.
Well, I've said it all. Even before we listen to this clip from Mourinho, exact, precise words, he hit the nail on the head. Maybe a press conference isn't necessary. He'll have one on Friday before the match, Real Madrid's first game in the league. It's the second league game. We'll play our first league match when the time comes, and then there will be the much anticipated press conference everyone is waiting for. And we'll see if he goes hard on the journalists or if he starts off with a slightly softer approach. Although with Mourinho, you can't really talk about soft approaches, not at all. Again, let's see what he says now with Pedrerol, and if he says something interesting, we'll put it in the next video. But as I mentioned at the start, this is the quick-fire questionnaire they give Mourinho, and one with which he won me over.
Full name.
Oops, José Mario dos Santos Mourinho Felix.
If I say Real Madrid, what do you say?
Hard.
Define yourself as a coach in one word.
Top.
Your favorite food?
Oh, I can't say codfish like all the Portuguese. I have to say a Wagyu steak that I really like.
Favorite artist or musician?
Well, if you haven't understood, Wagyu steak, that Japanese beef that's so delicious. And now, favorite artist or musician?
I have to say Bryan Adams, because besides being a great artist, he's also a good friend.
That's awesome, Bryan Adams, who for me is one of my all-time rock pop idols. And I didn't know that would come up. I didn't know Mourinho liked Bryan Adams. And yeah, I absolutely share his taste in music.
Do you have any hidden talents?
No.
If a teammate or player visited your country, where would you take them and what would you show them?
To the beach that few people know about.
Okay, and finally, what does it feel like to be the coach of Real Madrid?
The highest honor as a football coach.
The highest honor as a football coach. All right, well, that's the MOU in brief. The MOU in detail, let's see what it says. With Pedrero, we'll have it tonight. And above all, in the press conference that we've been waiting for so much, I hope I can go live on Friday at noon. I hope that's MOU's first press conference as Real Madrid's coach ahead of the match against Espanyol. A surprise note, Rodri's unveiling at Barca. I'm not going to show any images or anything. He said this: Barcelona has always been a global benchmark for me because of their way of understanding football and their values. It's true that I had some other offers, but Barca was my first choice, and that's what I told the board. All right, Rodri is lying. He's lying when he says it's a dream to play for Barca. Half true, because Rodri wasn't a Madrid fan or a Barca fan. Either one, actually, since for 2 years he kept saying that If a club like Real Madrid comes knocking at your door, you can't say no because it's a historic club, because it's one of the best clubs in the world and all that. So if he had signed with Real Madrid, he would have said exactly the same thing he said today and yesterday. It's a dream to be here. Madrid was my top choice if I had signed with them. I still say that if Madrid had to have the 80 from the start, 75 plus whatever add-ons were needed to not exceed that figure of 80, we will already have him with us. Since they didn't, people still say I'm hung up on Rodri, but I've explained many times that what I really miss is a proper holding midfielder. Without one, I don't think we'll achieve anything, and we've been lacking this for 2 years. But well, if someone doesn't want to see it, then fine. Or if someone thinks this is enough with the Ruina Menibal, well, great. They're very good friends and they get along very well, very well. Like everyone who's been through there during these last 2 or 3 years. Well, now with Bernardo Silva, maybe things will change. But anyway, Bernardo Silva, who, by the way, I think Mourinho is always or almost always going to count on there in the midfield. As a lone defensive midfielder, it doesn't work. I know that Mourinho would like another one, but if no one leaves, no one can be signed. And it seems very difficult for either Camavinga or Tchouaméni or any of the others to leave. Therefore, I think we can close the chapter on signings at Real Madrid, and Mourinho will have to make do with what he has. But the Portuguese coach would definitely like to have a true specialist holding midfielder, someone who can play as the lone pivot rather than alongside another midfielder, because he was delighted with Rodri. But anyway, we're still talking about Rodri. Is Rodri lying, or better said, telling a half-lie or a half-truth? Because if he had shown up with Real Madrid, he would have said exactly the same thing. It's a dream, and my first choice was to be here. Anyway, well, that's it. We'll have to compete with this, just like Mourinho did back in the day. Hey, he competed against a great midfield, that Barca midfield back then, with Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets. They competed with that team and ended up beating them. And besides, they played with the safety net of having the second in command of the referees on their payroll, paying him $500,000 or $1 million a year. And that was really difficult. So this is Mo's new challenge, and I think we can achieve it. But of course, everyone's involvement is needed. And the change in attitude. I think Mourinho is going to make it happen. Well, see you in the next one. All the best. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share, and hype up the video. It really helps. And that's it. See you tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll keep enjoying life here close to the sea, which, as the saying goes, is much better. Bye. Ciao.